You're trying to stay active, keep your house clean, stay independent. But what if I told you that 4 of the most common household tasks could be putting unnecessary strain on your heart, especially if you're over 60? Today we'll break down the hidden risks behind these chores, what medical studies are now revealing, and most importantly, how you can protect your heart while still staying in control of your home and your health. It seems like a simple task, lugging a full laundry basket across the hallway, down the stairs, or out to the backyard. But this single action could be placing dangerous strain on an aging heart, especially if it's done repeatedly, without rest, or with poor posture. Here's why. Carrying anything heavy, especially at waist level or above, forces the heart to pump harder to supply oxygen to both the arms and legs simultaneously. In seniors, this can lead to an instant spike in blood pressure, shortness of breath, or even dizziness. According to a study published in the Journal of Geriatric Cardiology, activities involving sustained isometric exertion, like holding a basket for more than 10 seconds, can reduce blood flow to the heart muscle, increasing the risk of cardiac fatigue. The heart of an older adult is often dealing with pre-existing challenges, maybe high blood pressure, stiffer arteries, or reduced oxygen uptake from the lungs. So, while a 20-year-old can haul laundry and recover instantly, a 70-year-old may experience residual tightness in the chest, discomfort in the arms, or sudden fatigue, all signs the cardiovascular system is overtaxed. And that's not all. If you're climbing stairs or bending over to pick up laundry at the same time, your body experiences what cardiologists call postural cardiac stress. This is when the combination of lifting, twisting, and holding your breath while straining, something called the Valsalva maneuver, puts a dangerous load on the heart, especially if you already have mild heart disease or arterial stiffness. Dr. Harriet Benson, a cardiac rehab specialist from California, explains, "We often see seniors in emergency rooms who didn't fall or get injured, but simply experienced lightheadedness or chest discomfort while doing a chore like laundry. It's not about the weight. It's about how quickly the cardiovascular demand builds up without warning. What's the safer solution? Break up the load. Instead of one heavy basket, use 2 smaller baskets and make more trips. It may sound tedious, but it allows your heart to recover in between effort bursts. Even better, consider using a laundry cart with wheels to minimize strain. These carts take the burden off your upper body and distribute the work more evenly, especially if your home has stairs or long hallways. Also, never hold your breath while lifting. Breathe out during exertion. It may sound like a small change, but it prevents the pressure spikes that can stress your arteries and heart valves. And if you're already dealing with issues like shortness of breath, fatigue, or chest tightness while doing everyday chores, it's worth having a heart checkup. Sometimes these symptoms are subtle early signs of heart strain that get overlooked. Ultimately, laundry may not feel like a risky activity, but for seniors, it's a hidden cardiovascular stressor, especially when done in silence with no rest and no awareness of the signs. Awareness is protection. And this is only the beginning. It sounds productive, even therapeutic to some, to get down on your knees and scrub the bathroom tiles or kitchen floors until they sparkle. But here's the catch. This position might be quietly punishing your heart every single time you do it. Why? Because scrubbing involves intense upper body effort combined with low body compression, a position where your body is hunched forward, knees bent, and arms moving rapidly. This stance compresses your diaphragm, restricting your lung capacity and forcing your heart to work double time just to circulate oxygen. Add in the holding of your breath, which many do unconsciously during strain, and you've created a scenario where your heart is literally gasping for support. In fact, a study from the American Journal of Hypertension found that when older adults engage in kneeling dynamic activity for more than 5 minutes, their systolic blood pressure can spike by up to 30 points. That's enough to trigger dizziness, fainting, or, if underlying conditions are present, chest discomfort, or even heart rhythm irregularities. Now, combine that with chemical cleaning fumes in a poorly ventilated space, like a bathroom, and you've added a new layer of stress: respiratory constriction. The heart and lungs are deeply interconnected. When the lungs can't expand properly, either due to posture or airborne irritants, oxygen exchange drops, and the heart has to compensate. You may think you're just getting some chores done, but what's happening under the surface is a cardiovascular battle your body didn't sign up for. This is especially concerning for seniors with existing conditions like mild heart failure, atrial fibrillation, COPD or asthma, orthostatic hypotension, low blood pressure when changing positions. Dr. Michael Ewan, a geriatric cardiologist, puts it plainly: we've had patients collapse in the bathroom, not because they slipped, but because their heart couldn't handle the position, the pressure, and the sudden change in posture when they stood up too fast after prolonged scrubbing. So what's the safer option? Ditch the kneeling and stooping. Use long-handled scrubbing brushes that allow you to clean from a standing position. Better yet, assign heavy-duty cleaning tasks to younger family members or caregivers once a week. Even robotic mops or handheld steamers can dramatically reduce how much physical pressure you put on yourself. And here's another tip: if you must clean while standing, set a 5-minute timer and stop to stretch and breathe deeply between sets. This gives your heart time to stabilize, your lungs a break, and your muscles a moment to recover. You're not just pacing your body, you're protecting your circulatory health. Remember, staying active is important, but strategic movement is smarter than random effort. Your heart has limits, and scrubbing the tub isn't worth crossing them. It sounds innocent. How dangerous could it be to fluff pillows, stretch the bedspread, or tuck in the sheets? But here's what you might not realize. Making the bed, especially with tight corners and high-reaching gestures, creates a perfect storm for cardiovascular stress in older adults. It combines prolonged reaching, twisting, and holding the breath, all of which can silently spike your heart's workload. When you reach above your shoulders, especially repeatedly or with effort, your blood pressure naturally increases. This is due to something called peripheral vascular resistance, where the heart has to work harder to push blood against gravity and tighter vessels in the arms and chest. Now, layer in twisting at the waist, bending awkwardly, and possibly even standing up too quickly from kneeling, all in the span of a few minutes, and you've unknowingly triggered a cascade of cardiovascular demand. In seniors, this sequence can reduce venous return, the ability of blood to flow back to the heart, resulting in lightheadedness, irregular heartbeat, or even shortness of breath. According to a recent study in Clinical Interventions in Aging, tasks that involve simultaneous bending and overhead motion are associated with the highest incidence of postural cardiac load in adults over 65. But there's a psychological twist. Making the bed feels safe. It's part of a morning routine. It gives a sense of order and independence. So, most people ignore the tightness in their chest or the fatigue in their arms. They dismiss it as just waking up or a bit out of breath. But these can be early signs your heart is struggling with the sudden shift from sleep to stress, without a warm-up. Dr. Anjali Vora, a cardiopulmonary specialist from New York, notes, the act of standing, reaching, and twisting within minutes of waking can shock the circulatory system, especially in seniors who haven't hydrated yet or who take morning medications that alter blood pressure. This combination of fasted state, cold muscles, and overhead strain makes morning bedmaking far more risky than most realize. So how do you reduce the cardiac load? Break the process down. Sit on the edge of the bed while adjusting corners. Use lightweight comforters that don't require aggressive tucking. And most importantly, don't reach up repeatedly without pause. If you feel even slight tightness, stop and rest. Another overlooked tip: hydrate first. Even a glass of water before starting morning chores helps stabilize your blood volume and supports more consistent oxygen delivery to the heart. And if you want to simplify entirely, consider switching to fitted sheets with a looser top layer that doesn't need daily tucking. It may seem like a minor convenience, but your heart will thank you over time. In the end, making the bed might look neat and comforting, but for the aging body, it can be a stealthy cardiovascular challenge wrapped in routine. And it's the routines we never question that often carry the greatest risks. Washing dishes, peeling vegetables, rinsing fruit. You're upright. You're not lifting anything heavy, and you're certainly not running a marathon. But here's the hidden danger. Standing still for long periods, especially at the sink, can cause blood to pool in the lower legs, reducing return flow to the heart and placing more strain on an aging cardiovascular system than most seniors realize. The issue isn't the task, it's the posture. When you stand motionless, especially with your arms extended slightly forward and your head tilted down toward the sink, your calf muscles aren't pumping blood back upward efficiently. Without muscle contraction, the venous return slows, and your heart has to work harder to maintain normal circulation. Over time, this can lead to symptoms like lightheadedness, fatigue, swollen ankles, even palpitations in individuals with pre-existing heart conditions. A recent study in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that seniors who stood still for more than 10 minutes without walking experienced a measurable drop in stroke volume, the amount of blood the heart pumps per beat, while their heart rate had to increase to compensate. That's not a small adjustment. It's an early marker of cardiovascular strain. What's worse is that most kitchens are designed to promote stillness. Everything is within reach. Seniors tend to lean forward slightly at the sink, often unconsciously locking their knees or shifting weight awkwardly to compensate for poor balance. This reduces circulation further and increases pressure in the veins of the legs and feet, a setup for discomfort, cramping, or that all-too-familiar post-dinner leg heaviness. Dr. Louis Chang, a vascular physiologist, explains it this way. When you're upright but not moving, your body's natural pressure gradient fights against you. Gravity pulls blood downward, and without muscular motion to counter it, you're left with stagnation. That stagnation translates into silent stress on the heart. So how can something so mundane become safer? Add motion. If you're standing at the sink, make it a rule to shift your weight from foot to foot every 30 seconds. Better yet, march in place lightly while washing. Yes, even just raising your heels up and down counts. If you use a step stool or shallow box under one foot, alternating feet every couple of minutes can dramatically reduce leg fatigue and promote better circulation. You should also sit for prep tasks when possible. There's no shame in pulling up a stool to peel potatoes or cut vegetables. You're not giving up independence. You're preserving your energy and protecting your heart for the activities that truly matter. And finally, make your kitchen setup heart-smart. Keep the essentials within easy reach to avoid overextending or standing frozen in place. The more you can encourage natural, light movement, the more your heart and legs will thank you, because sometimes stillness is the enemy, especially when you're doing something you've done 1,000 times before and never once thought to question. You now know the 4 household chores that may be quietly overworking your heart, day after day, year after year. But here's the part most people miss. The damage doesn't always show up in the chest. Sometimes it shows up in the legs, as tightness, swelling, heaviness that won't go away, or fatigue that hits after just a few steps. In fact, new research suggests that these symptoms may not just be signs of aging. They could be your first warning sign of poor blood flow, and even early-stage heart strain. So here's the question. What's happening to your legs when your heart is under pressure, and how do you stop it before it's too late? You'll find out in the next video waiting right here on your screen.